Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to learn how to curl a football or a soccer ball. So if you don't know what a curling shot looks like, take a look at this. Okay, so as we can see, it's very difficult for the keeper to save for two reasons. Either you can curl it out of the goalkeeper's reach, so it actually goes around his grasp and there's not much you can do about it and it ends up in the back of the net. Or you can kick it towards him and put some curl on it so at the last second it moves away from him. So it's just adding that movement. So if you're right-footed, the ball's going to be moving from right to left, and if you're left-footed, the ball's going to be moving from left to right. So I'm just going to show you the basic technique on how I curl a soccer ball. Obviously you've got to adapt your own comfortability with the run-up and everything else and find your own technique, but I'm just going to show you the basics that are going to help you improve your shot. Alright, so step one is obviously the run-up. So I use the same run-up for a moving ball that I do a free kick as well. So when I've got the ball down, I usually take about a 90-degree angle away from the goal. Maybe a little bit less, but I really want to be coming from the side. Because I find coming from a really wide angle, it allows me to get that whip that I need. It allows me to get around the ball, wrap my foot around, and use the correct technique to get enough spin that it creates enough movement to deceive the goalkeeper. Maybe take about 4 or 5 steps back. Same with the moving ball. So if it was a free kick, I would just take 4 or 5 steps back. If it was a moving ball, I would knock it out in front of me, so that would be taking about 3, 4, 5 steps. So kind of like this. So now we figured out the run-up. Obviously we need to talk about the planting foot. So the planting foot is very, very, very important, as always in a shot, because that really determines where the ball is going to go. So unlike a normal straight shot or a driven shot, we're not pointing our foot exactly where we want the ball to go. Because we're adding some movement to it, we actually want to shoot away from where we want the ball to go, so that after it adds the curl on, it then ends up in that corner. So for example, if I'm shooting for that far corner, I'm not going to point my foot at the corner, because that means it would start to curl too early and it would end up going towards the middle of the goal. So I actually have to point my foot just outside of the post, so that when I do wrap the ball around, it starts going away from the post. It looks like it's going wide, but then that curl is going to bring it back in and it's going to end up in that top corner. So let's talk about where on the foot we're going to be striking the ball. The area of the foot is right here. So where this Nike swoosh is, it's literally the line just below it. Some people call it the instep, but it's more towards the toe. So you're pretty much making contact with this whole area. Your initial point of contact is high up on the foot, and by the time the ball leaves the foot, it actually ends up being around here. So it's not like you're punting it straight off like a knuckleball or a driven shot where it just fires straight off the foot. You're actually wrapping your foot around it. You're not making a clean contact. You're almost slicing it, trying to get as much spin as possible. Because actually the more spin you get on the ball, the more curl that's going to happen. So we're really looking for a dramatic amount of spin. So now talking about the contact area on the ball. What we want to be doing, we're not just going to hit to the side of the ball. A lot of people think you've just got to hit the side of the ball to make it spin like that. And it will spin, but a lot of the times you're not going to have as much movement as you want on it. It's just going to go from left to right, and sometimes it goes over. So what we're going to try and do, we're going to add almost a little bit of dip to it as well. If you really want to get that whip effect, not only are you going to hit the ball with spin, but it's going to have a little bit of top spin, just ever so slightly. So not only is it moving from right to left, but it's also going to be going up and down. Especially for a free kick, if you have a wall in the way, you want it to go up and over that wall and come back down as well, while adding the curling effect as well. So we're adding 2 types of movement to it, and that's just going to make it even more of a nightmare for the goalkeeper to save. So when we make contact with the ball, it's really this lower half of the ball here. So it's this bottom right section. You're hitting this area of the ball, making contact nearer the middle. So your initial point of contact is the middle lower part of the ball, but as you strike the ball, you're wrapping the foot around. You're not just hitting this part of the ball and letting it fly off. You're making initial contact here, and then you're wrapping up. So you want your foot to be hitting up like this. When you make contact with the ball, your foot is actually going to be angled sort of like this. So if we angle our foot like this, and we make contact with that area, it's going to make contact here, spin the ball, and add that curl and dip at the same time. It's not just straight this movement or backspin, it's kind of that in between, so it's going like around this way, kind of like a rainbow. And when we follow through, this is what we're going to do. When we've made contact and the ball's let go, we're going to arc our leg around. So once we make that contact and we release the ball, our leg is going to make that arc movement, trying to almost replicate the direction of the ball we want it to go, almost making that curve. So what I notice that a lot of people do when they're trying to whip the ball, they're making their technique too smooth. So it's all very one speed. Everything's just sort of the same speed. The thing that's going to get you that whip on the ball that gives you the most dramatic effect through the air is that split second when you're about to hit the ball. You need to create that snap movement with your foot. Okay, and the last thing we also need to do is, after we follow through, our standing foot can do one of two things, depending on the distance you're shooting from. If you're shooting from around the box, all I like to do is after I've struck the ball, I strike the ball and then I just step back onto my kicking foot. So it's just a step across the body. But if we're shooting from distance, we need to add even more power. So we actually need to come off our shooting foot, because that's where the power is going to come from. It's going to add even more to your follow through. So if you shoot from distance, same techniques apply, but we're going to land back on our kicking foot. So that's the two differences between shooting from around the box and shooting from distance, but all the other body mechanics are still exactly the same. So I think this is a great technique. It's what I go to for free kicks over anything like the knuckleball or anything like that, just because this is a technique that can be very consistent. You can really put the ball exactly where you want it. Things like knuckleballs are great. I prefer to shoot knuckleballs on the move, because if I get a free kick, I really don't want to waste that opportunity, and there's a lot more chance of you hitting the target with a curling free kick over other ones. So I think this is a great one to practice. It's really going to add a lot to your game. It's going to help you with your crossing. It's going to help you with corner kicks. The more techniques you can have in your locker to strike the ball, the better all-round player you're going to be. So make sure you practice this one. And if you did enjoy this video, hit that like button. If you're brand new to the channel, hit the subscribe button for weekly training videos. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.